Welcome back to the PT Graduate Podcast. It's great to be here again. And today my guest is Kelly Young from 9 Round Albany. Welcome, Kelly.
Hello.
How are you?
Hiya. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
That's very, very good of you to give up your time to be here. I really appreciate it. I know you're a busy business owner, a mum, and you've got you're married and kids, and there's lots going on, as well as what else has been thrown into the mix with trying to run a business at the moment with the current circumstances. So to be able to
I'll actually just correct you in one spot, and my partner's going to love. We're not actually married yet.
Apologies.
It is the longest engagement of our life, and I have him on for it all the time, and I'm not going to let him just win over thinking he doesn't have to marry me just so that people go, oh, we're married anyway. People say it anyway. We don't need to get married. So
apologies.
It's a bit of a running joke.
Well, you've got him on record now, so there's no escaping.
Yeah, exactly. Crack up. Nah.
So a bit like me, you didn't come into this industry as your first choice, I guess, of career. You've come into it later on, and you started as a chef, right?
Well, funnily enough, I actually started as in the fitness first.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Yes. So I if we wind it all the way back, I was always academically challenged, as my teachers said at school. And so, back then there was no PC. And I say back then because I'm 40 this year. So there was no PCing about it.
Yeah.
If you were not smart, they just told you're not smart.
Wow.
You're not going to be good at this, that, and the other. And so I kind of lost a lot of confidence in myself in that regard, but found my confidence in sport.
Right.
And I ended up staying to school kind of right to 7th form back. That's what we call it then. I don't know what they call it these times, but 7th form, and it was due to sports. And I kind of surrounded myself with it. I was in a top level for soccer, basketball, and hockey, and sort of got scholarships at certain top schools for those sports, and went through the all your representative kind of levels and stuff, and got to a stage where I was getting coached by phenomenal coaches, and they were working on not only the skill set, but also the mindset. So I really got a passion for the fitness and that side at a young age. I then went on to getting a scholarship at Lincoln University down in Christchurch. However, once again, the academic side was attached to it. And I really sat on the fence for a while, and that was for hockey. So hockey became my sport of preference.
Right.
And one weekend I decided I'd go on a school trip to the mountain to try snowboarding. And I also surfed and skated. So went and did this mountain experience and never properly been on the snow. And I fell in love with it. I was like, This is amazing. So I went and brought all the gear, bought a pass and everything. And it was a conflict for hockey at that level. And so they said it endangers you. It's an endangering sport. It's an extreme sport. My coach at the time was like, it's a no-go. And so I had to make a choice. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go with my gut. I'm leaving hockey, much to my mum's dismay, because she had carted me here, there for my whole schooling life. And she was like, black sticks, here she comes. And then I just basically said, nah, Mum, I'm changing direction. I'm going snowboarding. So off I went down to Queenstown, got a job just as a lifty operator, realized that didn't give me enough time on the mountain. Switched into a rookie school, got into a rookie academy to get snowboard instructors. And that's when my instructing started forming. So I spent 5 years back-to-back winters through here, Canada and USA, teaching snowboarding. Cool. And our qualifications, I don't know what it's like now, but our qualifications as a Kiwi over in the US, we were quite high up with our qualifications. So we got to sort of, if you were good enough, you got to sort of pick which level of sort of capability you taught. And so I got a lot of black runs, a lot of park, a lot of that kind of experience. Right. And so I spent a lot of my time coaching at a high level of snowboarding. And that's how I grew that love. And in the process of it all, we had a family over here that we were close friends with that owned a gym down in Browns Bay. It was Beachside Health Club.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yes, the white. So my mum used to go there, and I was a youngster, and I remember being little, sitting on the side of the room watching my mum do all these aerobics, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. And so I came back, and I'd always go there and train. And so I was amazing friends, like the owners, you know, they're like my second parents. They just mentored me through the industry. They got me a job there when I came back and settled. And that's where I got my PT and started working with them, and literally got taken under the wing by Jane, Pete, Carl that were there, and the rest of them. And they just, back then you were able to get an internship and you were able to work in a gym, because there weren't 24/7 gyms around then. They were just starting to come out, or just getting talked about. So back then it was either the rec centers or the small boutique family-owned operating ones, or Les Mills. And when you worked there, you learned the reception, you were an instructor on the stage, like doing the classes, you were a PT, you walked the floor, so you were a gym walker, you did everything. And you learned it all. You learned the trade. And I was just lucky that they were super passionate about it and just taught me how to run an amazing community. And so that's where it started.
I see.
You know?
Yes.
And
okay.
then it kind of, what formed was the link between fitness and food hadn't become what it is today, because there was no social media. So there was no people, no health coaches. There was that lost middle part. And what my thing was, I was like, do I want to become a nutritionist? And then I was like, well, it's not really, people know what they need to eat. It was very clear. People started to know, if you eat that, you know, you're going to get unhealthy. And the correlation between it was starting to get the awareness about it. But what I found was people didn't know how to cook. Like people didn't know how to make good chips.
Yes.
It tasted nice. And that's where my love of food came. And that's where, you know, I love to cook. I was cooking all the time. We grew up on a farm. My nana was an amazing cook. And that's when I used to do these cook along with Gordon Ramsay TV shows with my flatmates. And we'd get on the wines and we'd think, oh, this is fun. And I'd be in there. My flatmate was a sous chef, and we'd be cooking and making these elaborate dishes. And they said, let's do MasterChef. You're going on MasterChef. So I kind of thought it was a funny thing to apply for the TV show. I didn't know much about it at all, hadn't watched it. And that started that journey. And I was in the first MasterChef. And then I all of a sudden was in the top 13. And then all of a sudden the top 10, and I was in the house. And then all of a sudden it just 3 months of just chaos, crazy life. I was out, and then I got back in again through elimination thing. And then I was the top 2, and life went a little bit crazy afterwards.
I bet you've taken me down the path I was going to ask for anyway, in terms of that whole thing, because so then that took you into the industry as a result. Yes.
So I then ended up getting a job with Simon Gold. And I went into the chefing industry, and I worked at Euro, and it was tough. Right? Like they're like, chefs are like military, right? There's a hierarchy. And here's me that came from a celebrity TV show, and I kind of got in there, and there was a few of them that really didn't like that fact about me, and it was, so they made it tough. So you know, if you can't stand the heat in the kitchen, you got to get out. But I put in my effort, and I loved it. I loved the adrenaline of the like a service, a shift work. I loved being on the front line of it. It was amazing. It was such an experience. So I ended up working for Simon for, would have been about 9 months, maybe a year, quite a period of time. But what I did notice as well is the lifestyle of being a chef is really intense. shift work, long hours afterwards, you stay for drinks, and then it's not a healthy lifestyle.
No.
And I started noticing my health, my physical and my mental health was deteriorating, and I kind of sort of lost a little bit of my way. And so that's when, well, in the process, I met my partner, and he was in construction, and it wasn't very early, it was quite early on in the relationship, I fell pregnant. And after working for Simon, I went and did a couple of TV shows, and we did presentations at places on food, and worked for a number of companies, helping them redesign food and make it a little bit more healthier. And I started sort of heading down that track. And then we had our baby. My partner's work took us down to Christchurch, where they had the earthquakes.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's in construction, went down there. I had my babies down there, and was just kind of, after a life that had gone a little bit chaotic, I was finding myself again.
Okay.
And with having the kids, it was probably a real journey in a way of being a mum, like figuring out who I was as a mum. And so in that process, I then started sort of reconnecting with my coaching side and my health and wellness. And so I did my health coaches course, and I did that. I did some certifications on pre and post pregnancy nutrition, on pre and post pregnancy exercise, and I really sort of really harnessed my environment and started coaching that. So I created a Little Bellies boot camp, and just started teaching mums in the local area, and had a little setup at home, and started doing that, and then went more into the health coaching side, because it's more the psychology of why we do what we do. When we know what we know really is my driver, because you can coach people in exercise, you can tell them what to eat, you can guide them, but if you don't fix the deep rooting problem, which is the habits, why, or the internal dialogue, or the limiting beliefs that we do have, you're gonna keep on hitting that brick wall. And then, like, if we fast forward, we were down there for 5 years, and I said to my partner, we've got 3 babies now, I want to come home, because Albany, Auckland is my home.
Sure.
So I want to come home. Friends of ours came to us with 9 round. They said there's a 9 round down there, or there was about 4 down there. This is the concept. We love boxing. I love the fact about it that there's no class timetable. So I kind of eliminated all those excuses as a mum or a busy parent to remove. It's 30 minutes long. I thought the workouts change daily, so it's exciting. You're going to have a trainer pushing you each time. So I thought, hey, this is a really amazing concept. And we said, let's be the first ones up in Auckland.
Oh, well done.
So we got to move up to Auckland and opened up 9 round Albany, and we're coming up to our 5th year.
Wow, really? Good job. So where did it start? Where does it originate?
It's originate from America, USA.
Okay.
They're very kickboxing focused, though, because it's boxing and kickboxing, and then we've really brought in the functional training side of it as well, because the market in New Zealand's just too small to have a real one-dimensional. So that's how we brought in that sort of side to it as well.
So when you say there's no class times, how does it work?
So that's one thing that everyone goes, what do you mean? Like, it's I call it the human conveyor belt, basically. So basically we open up our doors, and as long as we're open, you can start your session every 3 minutes. So it's 9 rounds, 9 stations, 3 minutes on each station, 30 seconds to move to the next one. And it just keeps rotating. So people just file in. Like I say to my trainers, or anyone that comes to apply for a job or joins us, I say it's pretty much training on steroids. Now, why I say that is because it's not like a class is coming in all at once and you're greeting everyone all at the same level. You're then taking them through a warm up. You're then moving them through the workout together progressively. And then at the end, you're doing the cool down, the ending, and you finalize everyone with the farewell, see you again, and everyone leaves. It's not like that, which is very kind of orchestrated.
Yeah.
This one here, you can have people warming up on the bikes. You can have people halfway through their session. You know, you've got people on pads and you're training boxing size. You've got the functional training side. You've got people finishing their workout, stretching, leaving. And as a trainer, it's like being in a kitchen.
Yes.
Kitchen. It's that bang, bang,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you just, it's wicked. It's a real interesting dynamic that I thrive in, and I find my trainers come through and they just grow leaps and bounds because it's so dynamic. Because at one stage you could have one person on the floor, or maybe 4 people on the floor, so it's real intimate and personal training. Then you might have a floor of 9 people with 3 people, you know, so it's more of a group. So it's like you're really learning all of those aspects, and you're figuring out where do you fit as a trainer, and what do you like as a trainer by you know, being in the 9-round environment.
Very dynamic, and because it's like, you know, once the doors are open, it's live.
It's game on.
There's never really the downtime, the stopping and the thinking. It's like you're learning, which explains what you were saying about them, you know, developing so quickly, because, you know, skills are always being engaged. It's interesting. I wasn't even aware of that. It's interesting.
Oh, you have to come and check it out.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question is this then. So it's an amazing concept, and I can understand the purpose behind it. If you've got this conveyor belt, how do you still build that community in amongst your members?
I'd say I'm huge on community. So I'm massive on community. So we learn everybody's names. We learn all about everyone, really, because it's such an intimate space as well. The trainers get to know everybody as well. So us talking with them, we're just so open and friendly. And we have one of my biggest things about our club is it's just fitness, no judgment. And so I'm a strong believer in anyone's welcome, any fitness level. And because we've got a way that we can really work in a high intensity environment, but still work quite closely, everyone, we can change exercises to suit and fit. So I kind of say we're like a little bit like the Motley Crew. In terms of the people that we have in our gym, we're all a motley crew. We're not dressed in the flashiest stuff. We're all shapes and sizes. We're all ages. We're all levels. But everyone just has taken on the vibe where it's just fitness, no judgment. And while people are sitting on the bike, they start chatting, and next thing you know, they start knowing other people and introducing, and we're constantly introducing everyone to everyone. And so we've just built this amazing, thriving community where people walk in the door and they know each other, you know? And then we do outdoor things as well. A lot was pre-COVID. We're just getting kind of back into the swing of doing a lot of our sort of outdoor activities that we do that brings people together. We're huge on social media. So a lot of the, you know, real sort of OGs of the community chat to each other. And I've seen amazing friendships get built on just being at the club. And I'm like, sometimes go up to them and go, how long have you guys known each other? And they're like, oh, we just met here, you know? So even though it's not that group environment, they connect within the 4 walls anyways, because it's just a real welcoming community. And that's how I've always wanted it.
Interesting. It's a different way of doing it, but sounds really effective. So it changes daily. So they don't know what's coming, so it can be quite unpredictable, which is I guess a good thing. And they can come in at any time, and they can. So they have to leave after 9 rounds?
No, they can stay longer. So we've got some of our members coming up to 5 years with us, you know, so we've got a good strong base of our foundation members that are still there, and ones that are like 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. And so obviously with the 3-minute dynamic, it creates quite a high endurance in people. So especially you add boxing and kickboxing in it, their stamina is quite noticeably higher than your average person. Now, when you walk in there and say you've been a member for a while, you don't think that, because there's like all your own, like all a strong crew of the community that are all the same. However, when we have our new members come in, they're like, oh my gosh, you know, everyone's so fit, but everyone says to them, we all started there. It wasn't like we walked through the doors and we did this. However, what I do find when I do go to other places, that's when I notice the stamina of the clientele that I have due to the system of the 9 rounds, because that 3 minutes is a long period to be doing like an intensity workout. So it takes that stamina up that little bit more. And so back to your question, which was so
if they've done
so they can go longer.
They've done 9 rounds, but they can go longer because they're fitter.
Yes. So we've all got the MyZones. So you know the MyZone heart rates. So everyone wears the MyZone heart rate monitors, and when they first come, the reading that we get back, because we love to use a MyZone for a number of reasons, health and safety reasons, because we're in that high intensity range. We like to make sure those that are coming in, especially those that are possibly on medication for high blood pressure and stuff like that, it's just a good way for us to keep a track of that. But then also for a record, like it's giving us reading back on where they sit in a training sort of perspective. Without that, you're kind of just guessing where their fitness is or how they're progressing. So when they first come in, you'll see their heart rates are quite bold on their information we get back, and it's quite blocky. So there's no sort of lowering of the heart rate. It's sort of like their heart's blocky. They'll get to the end of their workout, and a new member, that's going to be a huge amount of effort made. Now, the MyZone runs on a thing called MyZone effort points. More effort you put in, the more points you get out through your cardiovascular. Now, when they get to the end of it, they've probably read about between 120 to 130 MEPs in 1 9 round. A fitter one, someone who's been with us longer, can go around. You'll see when they stop, their heart rate drops straight away. So they're losing points. So they have to work harder to keep it up. And when they get to the end, they can sometimes be sitting around 90 to 100. So what we encourage is that they stay longer and they do a little bit more.
Okay.
And so, that's doable.
Brilliant. Perfectly answered. That makes complete sense. And I guess makes it an environment where anybody can do any of it, because as you said, you can have your beginners and they can still start at the beginning, whereas you've got your endurance athletes probably who just go again.
Oh, powerhouses, mate. Right. Powerhouse. And the fact that what I love about the dynamic also with 9 round as a training facility is that you can learn a squat, right? You can learn your deadlift, you can learn your shoulder press, chest press, all that kind of stuff. You've learned that. The only progression you really have with those functional exercises is add on weight, change of time, in terms of that's how you can play with those exercises. Whereas with boxing is forever. You're always learning. You will come in and just constantly learn a new skill, you know. And it's an environment where these people generally probably wouldn't walk into a boxing gym to join, because possibly the intimidation, they kind of don't want to ever fight to go into the ring. A lot of them wants to just train, and they don't want to probably slow it down. So we've got to master it in a way that keeps it safe. So it's more kind of like your box fit, but adding in that skill as well. So they're actually working with a trainer on the pads, with a trainer on the bag. And we've kind of hit that middle market of those people that want to learn a skill,
How much did you need to know as owner operators in terms of technical boxing skills to open the doors?
They generally look at what skill you have done in the past, your qualifications and stuff like that. Myself, and when I was working back in the Beachside Health Club days, I ended up doing a lot of boxing. I connected with an English boxer who was an older guy as a coach, and it was outside the back of a tattoo parlor. And it was just rough as guts. And I used to go and train there as a youngster. Right. He actually tried to get me boxing myself. I've never been into a boxing ring. I was one that probably didn't really get comfortable yet with getting hit back. I kind of get questioned every now and then, oh, you should do a fight, you should do a fight. And this year there was a big question hanging over whether I was going to or not, but business is always, like, my community has always come first. And if you ever are going to get into a ring, I know first and foremost from coaching young amateur boxers to my partner's experience to experience of people that have come through that have gone into a ring, and my trainers that have been fighters. I know that it doesn't not only take a huge level of physical side to get in a ring, but it's massively mentally. And I would say with the last 3 years of owning a business through one of the most challenging times ever, I would say I have been in the longest mental fight of my life, trying to just look after a family, you know, while my partner works in construction, over running a business, which is the biggest business I've ever owned, you know, and it's a lot of responsibility. And I pride myself a lot on, you know, people's personal opinions and wanting to keep everyone happy. And I think a lot of trainers do. We wear our hearts on the sleeve. You know, we care about people. That's why we're in the role. And so I've had to really learn who is Kelly as a business owner, because when I started, I have grown extremely huge amount to who I am now mentally. And so in terms of getting into the ring, it really has always been about, how's the business going? You know, do I have that time and space to remove myself to focus on it? I'm not saying never yet. I am 40 this year, so time is ticking, but I'm not saying never yet. Right now, my fight is keeping our gym going and rebuilding it after what we've been through, you know.
Good on you for keeping the doors open and keeping people, you know, looked after, not only those who are clients, but also people that are working for you as well, because it's no mean feat. It's been a massive challenge. So what sort of things do you do to look after yourself? Like, obviously it's a very active role, we all know that, but what sort of things do you enjoy that you know, give you a bit of peace, or, you know, look after your own health?
Good question. I probably, and kind of leading on off what I just said before, I probably didn't really, when getting into the business, I probably didn't really ask myself that question enough to start with. And I kind of put the business first, and put, you know, I was kind of like juggling that with having a 1-year-old at the time. So my youngest was only 1, and my 2 boys, she's a little girl, a little diva, and my 2 boys were only 3 and 4. And we thought, let's open this business. Right now I look back at it and I think, what were we thinking? We weren't thinking. That's it. Well, but so back then I was kind of in survival mode of just, okay, once, and you know, you got the statistics of in New Zealand that most businesses don't even make the first year. A lot of businesses definitely don't make the 3rd year. The statistics are extremely crazy. And so I had in my mind, focus on the goal. Okay, once we get to the 1st year, it's a win, you know, 3 years we're really winning, you know, and along the way you learn so much about business that you sort of think, shit, at first you have the rose-colored glasses on, oh my gosh, everyone's going to flock to the door, this is the best concept ever, you know, this is crazy. And then all of a sudden you're like, where is everyone? And I thought to myself, you know, when we came out of lockdown, right, and you see all these lines out of McDonald's and KFCs, I was like, why the hell aren't people doing that to gyms?
Exactly.
Instead, I open my doors and I'm like, come back, guys. Get your asses off the couch and get back in there. Anyway, so in terms of looking after myself then, I didn't. I basically was running on adrenaline. Huge amounts of adrenaline in a high adrenaline industry. You know, where the music's high, people come in for the vibe. So I was just constantly just burning. And then challenges hit along the way that really kind of rocked me a bit as I went along, but I just kept firing. And then it was probably when the first lockdown really hit, and we came out of it, because when we went into lockdown, right, as a gym, it's not like you're a hairdresser where you can't do tutorials online. No one's going to come and watch you showing them how to cut hair. You're basically saying, don't cut your hair and don't box dye it because you're going to ruin it. So in closed periods for trainers, for gym owners, we were working our asses off to keep our communities active, because that's the main priority. And then to make sure that they're active, that when you open the doors, they're not going to consider, maybe I don't need it anymore, or, you want them back. So
keep that connection.
The workload in that time is non-stop, and you're not familiar with online. Like, I didn't do a gym because I'm a whiz online. I'm totally not. So you're trying to build these new platforms and learn this stuff. So by the time we opened up their doors, I was burnt out. Like, I actually, even for a mental health side, I would have said I hit near to rock bottom. And my partner had to actually take some time off work to give me space to really get help in rebuilding myself, because my central nervous system was it was like PTSD. It was just anything that would happen, I felt I had no real control over it. It was just, I thought the world was ending, and I was acknowledging it. It was like I was having out of bodies experience, because I was like, you are teaching people this mindfulness and this, but you're in such a state. And so that's when I stepped back, and I actually reached out to a guy called John Shackleton, who is a sports psychologist. And my business advisor at the time, who was amazing, her name's Catherine Cook, and she's amazing. She said, look, I want to put you in touch with this. She was great support for us, really helped us financially get through this period. And I reached out to him, and he said to me, look, as a sports psychologist, because I don't want to know your past, don't want to know your childhood trauma or anything like that, because I'm just going to get you meditating. And he said, every day you're going to do 2 minutes of meditating to begin with, and we're just going to slowly increase. Every day he checked in with me, have you meditated yet? Have you meditated? And all I did was focused on meditating to rewire the brain activity, because I was operating at such a high frequency that my brain didn't know how to calm itself in time of need. And so, practicing that helped rewire everything. Amongst other things, it was, getting back into my own fitness routine. I'm a big believer on I train daily. And now working that with my meditation, training daily, I know I've got to eat well. So my thing is eat well. I know I've got to socialize, have my own personal socializing. Those things, I'm big in creative stuff. So I do, paint. I paint by numbers, nice. Calming stuff. So I come from a high intensity industry, but I do a lot of calming stuff in my free time. I'm an active, like most trainers, I'm an active rester. I can't just kind of sit
still for too long.
No.
That's okay.
My partner will be like, oh my gosh, no, sit down, girl. But so it's really connecting in that way. But I'd put it down to, if you don't do it already, meditate. Slow the brain down, so you're just thinking about your senses and allowing that calmness to happen while you've got your eyes open, and not just when you sleep. So
that worked for you. Is that something you'd done before?
I had actually done it when the kids were young. I actually started doing a lot of Buddhism. And so started doing a lot of meditation through chanting. I had my middle child was he had a lot of gut issues going on, so he was quite a hard one to settle. So as a mum at home with two that were 1 and a newborn, it was quite a challenging time. So I did a lot of chanting meditation with him, and hooked up into the Buddhist community, and I found sort of a lot of peace in that. Great, excellent.
Wow, it's good. It kind of accelerates your development, doesn't it? When certain things happen and you feel like you've got to move twice as fast to keep all the wheels spinning, you're forced into learning what needs to happen. And sometimes we don't always know what that is, because it's like, well, I just keep going, go, 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 go. And I did the same thing a few years ago and found myself burnt out for the similar sort of reasons. Obviously not with COVID in there, but what it does is it kind of equips you with skills that you can pass those on to other people who you can see the signs that are appearing that you remember that you went through yourself. And go, well, that's something you might want to think about, and this is a way in which you could manage it and deal with it. So there's always a silver lining, isn't there, that that comes with that, even though it's not a nice process to go through. But you come out wiser for sure.
Oh yeah, I look back at it, and every challenging moment, I definitely love to really sit with and remember the pain in it, but I also get a lot of strength out of what I've learned from it, and it was probably not really a message, I think, with that we would have learned as young ones. It was like no pain, no gain. It was, we didn't get taught the holistic side that I think is out there at like these times. But I've really embraced loving the sense of failing, because I was quite a high achiever, and failure was really something I feared, because being a high achiever was like, if you're failing, you're failing. Whereas now I'm like, shit, if I'm failing, I'm gonna stick with this pain, because I know I've stuck with pain before, and it's been such a game changer at the end of it. So
it's good, because it's reframing it, isn't it? That's that whole growth mindset of, it's not failure, it's just an opportunity to learn more. So fantastic.
My business partner says that all the time. I say it's a challenge. She goes, no, Kelly, it's not a challenge, it's an opportunity to learn.
Perfect. I'm going to take that as tip number one and just slide straight into that section there and go, well, that's some really wise advice for people who may not have necessarily experienced that or been down that road. What other things that you think that could be relevant to people listening in terms of things you've learned or things you've done that didn't go so well, and you thought, okay, all right, done that, but I'm not going to do it again that way. Even I might do it some other way. What sort of things do you think could be useful for people?
I would say, and if I was talking in the fitness, I'm really going to talk in the fitness area and talk for trainers and people that are either getting into the industry or that are possibly got one foot in the industry already and possibly in another, and they're really passionate about it, is having the expectation around success and what success is for them. So for me, I always talk about this in terms of like, I was so focused on the success of where I wanted to go. So I was always like setting a goal. I want to set a goal, and that's what I can get to. I never had the vision on the journey. And so anything that was not aligning with the success, to me, it took away the joy of where I was in the journey.
Right.
And so all of a sudden I was constantly trying to fix things or do things better or work harder or, question, is this the right path? All these things, because I was so focused on the goal. Whereas I've refocused it now, and I know my direction, and I've got set goals along the way to achieve. However, my focus is on the journey, the process, and really keep connecting with my passion as to why I'm here. Why I'm here is because I want to help as many people as I can redevelop themselves, not only physically, but mentally, in the process of using fitness, wellness, holistic health, all of those areas, so that they are the better version of themselves in any of the areas, as a family member, a friend, as a business, a professional, personal, so that they thrive in that area. And so every time I connect with that, I'm on track. but yet it allows me to be really peaceful in where I am today.
Yeah.
Instead of being so disconnected because I was not where I want to be.
Yeah.
Now, you know, and so rounding that off, it would be slow down. Like these trainers that I meet now are coming in and they have the expectation and the vision so far forward that they are chopping and changing everywhere they go, that they're not sticking to something. And then they turn around and say, the fitness industry, no, you can't get successful in the fitness industry. You can't, you know, it's too hard, or do this, do that, you know, but it's hard work. Whatever you do, if you want success, you've got to put in the hard work. So there's going to be parts that are hard and it's uncomfortable and you don't like it. But if you keep bringing yourself back to the passion of why you do it, you will enjoy every moment of it, you know?
I absolutely agree. And I think that's such good advice. It's so easy to get caught in the end goal being the only thing.
Yes.
And not enjoying I wrote down joy of the journey in my notes just then.
Yes.
I thought,
I say this to my clients as well. They come in all the time and they say, I want to lose weight. I want to look this, I want to look that. And I'm like, yes. And I'm glad you've said that, because that's what we're going to do anyway. We're going to do that. But let's not focus on that, because that's a byproduct. If you focus on that, you're always going to miss the journey along the way of the successes that you do have. So we rewire people's thinking to park that over there and to focus on, okay, what, you know, how do we feel with strength? Well, where are we at with push-ups? Where are we at with a punch? Let's break this down and let's say, I want to feel fitter. I want to learn a new skill. And then as you do that, you see them go, oh my gosh. And that's the satisfaction that they're getting and the confidence that they're building in themselves to get these small little wins, while their first original goal, which they normally focus on, which can be so hard to get because losing weight's hard. You know, it's hard. You've got to change. Most people got to change what they do in terms of eating. They got to change what they do in terms of their stress or their sleep. They've got to go to the gym and work hard. It's hard. So park that to the side, because while you're getting all these amazing little wins and you're enjoying the journey and you're making friendships and you're feeling good, you're doing the losing of weight. It's happening.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But you're changing that focus.
I like it. That's exactly how it should be. It's just focusing on the stuff that you're doing day to day, because you're building all these skills and knowledge along the way. And I've lost that 10 kilos. Rather than it only being about the 10 and nothing about what happens in between here and that 10. So good. That's brilliant. I've literally scribbled enough notes now. I'm sorted. Is there a question I didn't ask, Kelly?
Is there a question you didn't know? I think,
cool.
Sounds good. I think you answered everything, asked everything.
Fantastic. All right. So who should I talk to next?
Who should you talk to next?
Who don't I know? Sorry.
Funny, do you know what? You did put me on the spot there. But
sorry.
No, that's all good. One person that comes to mind that could be an interesting chat is he's one of my old trainers that he's going through his studies at the moment. And, he's had a bit of challenges because the studies keep having to keep moving due to COVID. He's really hooked on strength and conditioning coaching. So he's doing his bachelor's, correct me if I'm wrong, he probably will correct me, but his bachelor's in sports and sports science, me and academics.
That's all good.
I'm like, you're studying that, good on you. No. So he's doing that. His name's Caleb Carey. Yes.
Cool. Well, if I can't find him, I'll grab his details.
I've got his details, but it'd be a good little chat chat with. He's a young up and coming guy. I think he's going to do really well in his strength and conditioning coaching side.
Brilliant. Yeah, awesome. Always good to catch up with people like that.
Yeah.
And yourself, it's been fantastic to chat. We really have had a good old yarn, and you've given us a good understanding of 9 Round and where you came from, how you got there, and what you're doing. And I'm definitely going to come and pop in and have a go. So,
yes, definitely do.
Experience it in the flesh.
Yes. I would love to have you. But no, thanks so much for having me, Rich. Really cool.
No problem. Thanks a lot, and catch you soon, hopefully.
Yep, sounds good. Awesome.
Bye.
See ya.